I never thought I'd be the guy writing about his wife screwing around behind his back, but here I am. My name's Dave, and I've been with my wife Emily for about 10 years now. We met in college, got married a few years after, and for most of that time everything seemed pretty normal, at least on the surface. She was a bit bitchy sometimes, especially when she was stressed, but she was also smart, funny, and pretty damn attractive. I was happy, or so I thought. Things started to feel off about 6 months ago. Emily began being really secretive about her phone, always hiding it when she got a message. She'd go out shopping and come back looking guilty, like she'd been caught doing something she shouldn't. She also started complaining about her health more often, saying she was tired or had weird symptoms that she wanted to get checked out. At first, I didn't really think much of it. Women do that, right? Maybe she was just stressing about work or whatever. But then I noticed the receipts. Little things at first: grocery store, dry cleaner, Starbucks, normal stuff. Then a few weeks ago I found a strange receipt tucked in her purse. It wasn't from anywhere I recognized. It was a hotel, a fancy one downtown. The date was recent and I knew she'd been working late that week, but that hotel, no way. It was a place I'd never seen her stay at. I asked her about it jokingly and she shot me a sharp look. She said it was for some women's health clinic appointment. That was weird. Why would a doctor's visit require a hotel stay? I let it go at first, but then I started noticing more small discrepancies in her stories. She'd say she was at a friend's house, then I'd see her leaving our house or her friend's place without my knowledge. She'd take calls in the bathroom, which I used to think was just privacy, but now it seemed suspicious. She was acting different, more defensive, more bitchy when I asked questions. And her excuses, always about some doctor's appointment or testing for STDs. But somehow I wasn't buying it anymore. One night, I was cleaning my desk and decided to look through some old receipts and bank statements. I was just trying to get a clear picture of what was going on. That's when I found it, another receipt, but this time it was for a prescription. Not just any prescription, but a series of them, some for antibiotics, but also for medications I'd never heard of before. And they were all from the same doctor, a local family physician named Dr. Roberts. I looked him up online, and yeah, he's legit, but I remembered her mentioning him once, just in passing. What really got me was the detail on the prescription receipts. They had hotel names on them, not just pharmacies. I couldn't believe it. She was going to the doctor, but also staying at hotels for some reason. I started putting the pieces together. Her women's health concerns weren't just about checkups. It was a cover, a damn good one. She was cheating on me with our family doctor. I didn't know whether to feel sick, angry, or just completely betrayed. All those years I thought I knew her, and now I realized she'd been lying to my face the entire time. That's where I am now, sitting here trying to process the fact that my wife, the woman I loved and trusted, has been screwing around with someone I thought was just my doctor. I don't even know how to feel anymore. Part of me wants to explode, part of me just wants to disappear. And honestly, I don't even know how to confront her about it without losing my mind. I couldn't keep quiet about it anymore. The more I thought about it, the angrier I got. I mean, she's been lying for months, sneaking around, and all the while, she's been acting like she's so hurt or stressed about her health, like it's some kind of medical emergency. But she's just been having sex with our doctor. That's what it boils down to, isn't it? Somebody she trusted, someone she saw every few weeks under the guise of doctor's visits, and she's been screwing him behind my back. It's not just a mistake or a one-time thing, I don't think. It's a full-fledged affair. One night, I decided I had enough. I waited till she got home from whatever doctor's appointment she'd claimed was her latest checkup. She strutted in, all bitchy and self-assured, the kind of attitude she always has when she's feeling sneaky. I looked her right in the eye and just said, "We need to talk. Sit down." She looked at me like I'd just insulted her, but I didn't care. I laid out everything, the receipts, the prescriptions, the hotel stays, the calls, everything I'd found. Her face was a mask of shock at first, then pure disdain. "Oh, come on, Dave," she snapped, crossing her arms. "You're overreacting, you're paranoid, this isn't what you think." I lost my temper. I told her I wasn't stupid, that I'd seen enough and she could stop lying to me. I told her I knew she'd been cheating on me with Dr. Roberts. That was the first time she actually blinked, like she'd been caught with her hand in the cookie jar and the guilt hit her just then. She scoffed, rolled her eyes, and said, "You don't have any proof. You're just jealous, insecure, and making this all up." That's when I realized she was a master at spinning stories. She's always been good at lying, at twisting words, making herself look innocent. But I wasn't buying any of it. I told her I'd been patient, but I'd had enough. "I want a divorce," I said. "I want you out of my life." Her face twisted into something hateful and condescending. She started yelling, calling me every name in the book: pathetic, jealous, crazy, basically trying to gaslight me. That bitchy attitude of hers kicked in full force. She kept insisting there was nothing going on, that I was imagining things, that I was insecure because I couldn't handle her being sick or stressed. She kept lying, but I knew better now. I knew everything. That night was awful. I felt like my entire world was crumbling, but part of me also knew I couldn't keep pretending anymore. I kept thinking about all the little things: her secret calls, the hotel stays, the doctor visits. I was furious, hurt, and deeply betrayed. I'd trusted her with my life, my health, my love. And she'd been sleeping with our doctor. It felt like a punch to the gut every time I remembered the audacity of her lies. I don't think I slept that night. Instead, I just stared at the ceiling, replaying everything I'd uncovered. It was like some sick, twisted soap opera. I wondered how long she'd been lying, how many times she'd seen him, and what other secrets she was hiding. All I knew was I was done. Done with her lies, her bitchy attitude, her fake concern. I felt like I had been punched in the stomach and left to bleed out alone. I knew one thing for sure: things would never be the same again. The next morning, I woke up feeling like I'd been hit by a truck. The weight of everything hit me hard: anger, disappointment, heartbreak. I'd planned nothing, just lay there staring at the ceiling, trying to process the chaos in my head. I kept going over her lies, the receipts, the hotel stays, everything. I knew I couldn't just let this slide. I had to do something, but I wasn't exactly sure what that was yet. Before she woke up, I decided to do a little more digging. I knew her phone was probably full of secret messages, so I grabbed it while she was still pretending to sleep. I unlocked it easily. I'd always been the trusting type, but I guess she never felt she needed to hide her secrets so well. Her messages were a mess of flirtation, sneaky emojis, and plans to meet Dr. Roberts again. I saw the texts from her, calling him my doctor, favorite, and even joking about how we make a good team. I felt like I was going to throw up. That's when I realized I had to confront her, but I also had to be smart. When she finally got up, I played it cool, but I was already seething inside. I told her I wanted to talk. At first, she tried to act innocent. "What are you talking about? I don't know what you found," she said, brushing it off like I was crazy. I just looked her in the eyes and said, "Don't lie to me anymore. I already know everything." She stared at me for a second, then gave that bitchy smile that she always wears when she thinks she's in control. I laid out what I had seen: her messages, the receipts, the prescription info. She sat there, silent for a moment, then started to lie again. She told me that the hotel stays were for women's health retreats, that she was just trying to get better, that Dr. Roberts was helping her with some female issues. Her tone was dismissive, like I was supposed to believe her. I didn't buy a second of it. Her health concerns had been a cover-up for her affair, plain and simple. She kept trying to convince me she was sick or stressed, but I could see through her bullshit now. I felt an explosion coming. I told her I was sick of her lies, sick of her pretending everything was okay. I told her if she wanted to keep up her affair, then she should just go ahead and do it, see how I felt about it. She snapped back, throwing tantrums, calling me crazy, saying I was overreacting and that I was possessive. I couldn't believe her. She's always been the bitchy one, but right then she looked like a cornered animal. And I knew deep down I couldn't keep pretending I didn't know. The betrayal cut too deep. That day I felt like I was walking around in a fog. I didn't eat much, couldn't focus, and kept replaying everything in my head. The worst part: the feeling that I had trusted her for so long and she'd just thrown it all away. I kept asking myself how I missed the signs, how I could have been so blind. Every time I looked at her, I saw the woman I loved and hated at the same time. My heart was shattered, and I knew I had to figure out my next move. I couldn't keep living in this chaos, pretending everything was fine when it was. That night, I sat alone in the living room, staring at the phone she'd left behind. I knew she was hiding more, but I also knew I needed to decide what to do about her and her secret life. I felt like I'd been betrayed by the woman I trusted most, and I wasn't sure if I'd ever recover from this. The only thing I knew for sure was that I couldn't keep pretending she was innocent anymore. The truth was out, and it was brutal. The next few days felt like a blur. I couldn't sleep, couldn't eat, and kept replaying everything over and over in my mind. Every time I saw her, her bitchy smirk, her dismissive attitude, it made my stomach turn. She was acting like nothing had happened, like I was the crazy one for suspecting her. But I wasn't going to let her gaslight me again. I knew what she was doing. I'd seen enough proof now to be sure. I decided I had to confront her again, but this time I wanted to be prepared. I made sure I had all the receipts, the messages, the photos I'd taken of her texts, and the hotel receipts. I wanted her to see I wasn't just paranoid. This was real, and I wasn't going to be played anymore. I also decided I'd record the conversation, just in case she tried to deny everything again or get manipulative. That evening I called her into the living room. She looked annoyed, like I was bothering her. I told her I needed to talk and I wasn't going to do this in front of our daughter, so she'd better listen. I showed her the evidence, her messages, her hotel receipts, the prescriptions. Her face went pale. She tried to deny everything at first, saying it was just a mistake or that I was reading into things. I cut her off. I told her I knew she'd been cheating, that I had proof. I told her I didn't want her to lie anymore, just tell me the truth. She looked furious now, her bitchy side coming out full force. "You're disgusting," she snapped. "You're paranoid, insecure, and a jealous psycho. I was just trying to get better, okay? None of this matters." Her voice was high-pitched, full of contempt. I could see her trying to brush it all off, to minimize what she'd done. But I wasn't buying it. I told her I wasn't stupid and I'd had enough of her lies. I told her she could keep pretending, but I knew the truth now, and I wasn't going to stay married to a woman who cheated on me and lied to my face. Her eyes flashed with anger. She started yelling and throwing a fit, calling me names I won't repeat. She said I was controlling, insecure, a terrible husband. Honestly, I'd never seen her like that before. So bitchy, so cold, so damn mean. She stormed out of the room, slamming the door behind her. I sat there watching her leave, feeling a mix of relief and crushing sadness. Part of me wanted to fight, to save what was left of us, but deep down I knew the trust was gone. It was over. Over the next few days she kept trying to act normal, pretending like nothing had happened, but I saw right through her. She was trying to manipulate me, to make me doubt what I'd seen. She kept saying she loved me, that she'd never cheat, that it was all some big misunderstanding. I didn't buy a word of it. She'd lied to me for too long and I didn't trust her anymore. Every time she looked at me with those bitchy, condescending eyes, I felt a surge of rage. How could she do this? How could she betray me after all these years? I began to think about what I wanted to do next. Honestly, I was leaning toward ending it. I couldn't live with the betrayal, not anymore. But part of me also wondered if she'd be sorry, if she'd try to fix this. I knew one thing: I had to protect myself and my dignity. I wasn't going to be some cuckold or a fool who got played by his wife and a doctor. I had to take control of the situation, even if it meant completely destroying what little trust was left. That night I sat alone in the dark, contemplating my options. The pain was sharp, but I knew I couldn't go back to what we had. Not after this. I'd been betrayed, humiliated, and I was tired of being the fool. Whatever I decided to do, I knew it would change everything, and I was finally ready to face it. The days that followed were some of the hardest I've ever experienced. I felt like I was walking around in a fog, every moment heavy with the weight of betrayal. I kept going over everything in my mind: her lies, the receipts, the texts. The image of her with Dr. Roberts haunted me constantly. I wondered how I could have missed all the signs, how I'd been so blind to her bitchy attitude and her constant sneaking around. I knew I couldn't keep pretending anymore. I decided I needed to confront her one last time, but this time, I was going to do it differently. I wanted her to see that I had all the power now, that I wasn't just some pushover husband anymore. I set up a recording device in the living room, just in case she tried to deny everything again, and prepared myself to be direct. That evening I called her into the living room. She was her usual bitchy self, rolling her eyes, crossing her arms, acting like she was above it all. I looked her straight in the eye and told her I had enough. I played the recording I'd made of her constant lies, her bitchy tone, her dismissiveness. I also laid out all the evidence I had, her hotel receipts, prescription records, and even the texts on her phone. She looked furious when she realized I had her own words recorded. "Oh, so now you're spying on me." She spat, her bitchiness escalating. "You're a fucking stalker, Dave, you're crazy." She started yelling, trying to gaslight me again, telling me I was paranoid, that I was just jealous and insecure. But I didn't care anymore. I'd made up my mind. I looked at her coldly and said, "I know everything. I know you've been cheating with Dr. Roberts, and I want to know what the hell is wrong with you." Her face twisted into a mask of rage. "You're disgusting," she hissed. "You're the one who's insecure, jealous of a professional, of someone who can help me. I don't owe you an explanation for anything. You're just jealous because I don't want to live a boring, pathetic life with your ass." Her voice was full of venom, but I could see the cracks in her bitchy facade. She was losing control. That was the moment I realized I couldn't keep pretending she was innocent anymore. I looked her in the eyes and told her that I was done, that I wasn't going to be played anymore. I told her she could stay and lie all she wanted, but the truth was out and I was leaving. I told her I deserved better, someone loyal, honest, not someone who cheated with her doctor. I saw her bitchy attitude fade for a second, replaced by pure hatred. She spat at me, called me every name in the book, then stormed out of the house. I sat there alone, feeling a strange mixture of relief and deep sadness. I knew I had made the right choice, but it hurt so much to know the woman I loved had betrayed me so thoroughly. I was hurt, angry, and completely humiliated. But I also felt a sense of power I hadn't felt in a long time, that I was finally taking control of my life. I knew I had to get out, to start over, and to rebuild what little self-respect I had left. In the days that followed, I moved out of the house. I couldn't face her anymore, not after everything she'd done. I stayed with a friend, trying to piece my life back together. I cut all contact with her, ignoring her frantic calls and texts. The hardest part was knowing she still thought she could manipulate her way back into my life, but I was done playing her game. I realized I'd been a fool for so long, trusting someone who clearly didn't deserve it. Looking back, I learned a lot from this nightmare. Trust is fragile, and once it's broken, it's almost impossible to repair. I also learned that sometimes you have to stand up for yourself, even if it means losing everything. The pain of betrayal is sharp, but it also clears your vision. I'll never forget that woman's bitchy, manipulative attitude, and I hope I never have to face something like this again. But I also know I'm stronger than I thought, strong enough to walk away from someone who doesn't respect me. And honestly, that's the best lesson I could have learned from this whole nightmare. In the weeks since I left her, I've been trying to rebuild my life. It's been a roller coaster of emotions, anger, relief, sadness, and even a strange sense of freedom. I won't lie. I still wake up sometimes feeling sick to my stomach, thinking about how she so easily betrayed me and played me for a sucker. But I also realize I'm better off without her bitchy attitude and constant lies. I've started seeing a counselor, trying to process what happened, and honestly, it's helping. What's been most eye-opening is how much I underestimated the kind of person she really was. I always thought she was just stressed or overworked, but it turns out she's been a liar and a cheat from the start. Her women's health concerns were just a cover for her affair with Dr. Roberts. I never thought I'd be one of those guys who gets played like this, but here I am, staring at the wreckage of my marriage and trying to find my footing again. The most valuable lesson I've learned is to trust my instincts. I ignored so many signs because I wanted to believe she was just a little bitchy or stressed, but the truth was right there in front of me. Her sneaky calls, her secret hotel stays, her dismissive attitude, those were all red flags I chose to dismiss. Now I see how important it is to pay attention to the small details, even if it's uncomfortable. Ignoring the signs only makes things worse. I also realized I need to prioritize myself after all this. I've been putting her first for so long, trying to fix things, trying to keep the marriage together. But I can't fix someone who doesn't want to be fixed. She made her choice and I made mine. I've started focusing on my own happiness again, reconnecting with friends and taking care of myself physically and emotionally. It's not easy, and some days are worse than others, but I know I'm moving forward. Looking back, I think I was naive to think marriage was supposed to be perfect, but I also know I was loyal and honest. I don't regret loving her, but I regret not trusting my gut sooner. What she did to me, her bitchy attitude, her lies, her cheating, taught me a hard lesson about trust, honesty, and self-respect. I don't think I'll ever forget what happened, but I'll use it as a reminder to never ignore the warning signs again. Now, I'm just trying to focus on healing and moving on. I hope anyone reading this learns from my mistakes. Trust yourself, pay attention to the red flags, and never let someone treat you like you're invisible. Because in the end, you deserve honesty and respect, and if someone isn't willing to give that, then they're not worth your time. I've lost a lot, yeah, but I've also gained clarity and strength I never knew I had. That's what really matters now.